every cell of your body, there is a nicotine receptor that turns on that cell and makes it work better. Now, if you have these nicotine receptors neurologically that are making you have brain fog, turning off your taste, your smell, that is what spike protein does. It turns off the nicotine receptors. I'm Kristy Austin. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment to Lux Media Studios. Welcome to Whole-ly Chit. I am your host, Kristy Austin, here to remind you that you are whole. And chit's a Sanskrit word for pure consciousness, the reason I started the show. So today I think I'm going to ruffle some feathers. Not because I'm a feather ruffler. In fact, I don't consider myself one at all. People that know me or that are close to me know me as the peacekeeper and someone who can talk and get along with anyone. And only very few know the depths of my thoughts. But however, I am here to make you think. You don't always have to agree with what I say, but maybe it will awaken some thoughts in you that will make you want to try something or do your own research and learn for yourself. What's your opinion on this? What do you think about this? So today, it's about what I'm making for dinner. I've been looking at eggplant recipes all day, trying to decide, what's a good eggplant recipe? Why, do you ask? Is it because Kristy loves eggplant so much? The answer is no. But what I've learned that is in eggplants, I want inside of me. Now, what is an eggplant, you might be asking? Nicotine. Yes, that's right, nicotine. Is it because Kristy's so addictive to nicotine? No, never smoked a cigarette in my life. But Kristy, you might be asking yourself, nicotine is addictive. Why would you want to eat eggplant when it has nicotine in it? Eggplant is actually the second source besides tobacco. Tobacco has the highest source of nicotine. Eggplant is the second. So why would I want to eat that? You might be asking yourself. And I just have a question for you. Do you, yes, you, know anyone? Just think of one person. If you could name one person, then great. Do you know anyone who's addicted to eggplant? Now, I know some of you with sick minds are going, I know someone. I'm talking about actual eggplant, not what eggplant represents, okay? And I can't think of one person who's addicted to eggplant. Not one person. If nicotine is so addictive, why aren't more people going around eating eggplant? So here's some, you know what, we'll take it just a step further while you're thinking, because maybe you're like, maybe I really know somebody who might be addicted to eggplant and you need some time to think about it. Well, think about tomatoes, bell peppers, cauliflower, cabbage, spinach, peppers, that's bell peppers, chili peppers, cayenne pepper, what else? I said spinach, nuts like almonds. I know some people that love almonds, but addicted to them? All of those things. Can you see people running around going, I just can't get enough cauliflower or spinach? No, most people don't like their fruits and veggies, or especially veggies. They'll eat their fruits, just not their veggies. So why are they telling us that nicotine is so addictive? And why does it matter? You might be asking yourself. Great question. I'll tell you. Um, so we'll start with how this lie came about and and why it matters. Now, they did a Harvard figured this out in 2015. Don't believe me, like I said, always do your own research. Look up Harvard 2015 study, nicotine is not addictive. Now, Harvard was trying to decide the amount of nicotine someone can have before it becomes addictive. And they could not find one of the animals becoming addictive to nicotine. So they're wondering what's going on. It says on all nicotine products, highly addictive. All nicotine products. So where are we going wrong? How can we figure this out? They got all the studies from the 70s and 80s showing that nicotine was addictive, and in fact found out that nicotine, the nicotine giants or tobacco giants. Am I saying that right? I'm sure I might be missing some things out because I'm trying to get it all out. Slow down, Kristy. Slow down. I don't need to talk so fast all the time. Sometimes I get on here and I feel like I have to speed talk. So breathe, breathe. They found out that in the 70s and 80s, when they were trying to get people addicted to their tobacco products, nobody was becoming addicted. And this is when they had light tobacco. So they hired a chemist that said, this problem is easy. You want to get somebody to be addicted to your product? Stick phthalates in it. Phthalates is the most addictive ingredient there is. So they hired chemists to make their tobacco products more addictive. What did the chemist say? This is easy. Add parazines. Parazines will make anything addictive that you put in it. It's the most highly addictive ingredient that you can add. So parazines, it's not the nicotine, it's the parazines. So in this study, Harvard actually said it's the parazines that is associated with nicotine or put in the nicotine that makes nicotine addictive. They even say that it's not nicotine, it's the parazines. That's it that they've linked in the nicotine. Well, Kristy, you might ask, nicotine causes cancer. Didn't you grow up like me? Or maybe you didn't, but I grew up so afraid to ever trying a cigarette because I thought, oh, it causes cancer. It's addictive and it causes cancer. No. What causes cancer are all the carcinogenics that they put in cigarettes. Did you know that they've approved 600 ingredients to add into cigarette products? 600 products that are mostly carcinogenic, and those that you don't think would be carcinogenic, like sugar. Sugar, is that a carcinogen? Yes. When you burn sugar, it becomes carcinogenic, meaning cancer causing. So you've been lied to. And the reason that this came about and the reason that I think this is so important, because you might be asking, Kristy, why does this matter? The reason I believe this is so important right now is because when everyone was getting sick in 2020 and a lot of people were dying, and there's still people suffering with long haul symptoms, COVID long haul symptoms, and it can be fixed. Do you remember, or can you think of anyone that over COVID was a smoker and they didn't get sick? I remember, because I remember them saying, or Biden saying on the news, "Oh, smokers are they're dying left and right. They're the highly affected by this." I thought, "Oh, wow, just all the people that I knew that were smoking, I'm begging my brother to stop smoking." And I can't think of one person that I know, and I know a lot of people that smoke. I couldn't there not one of them got COVID. And that came back out later that for some reason the smokers that were in the hospital or were smokers at one time couldn't smoke because they were in the hospital for something else, ended up then contracting COVID, but smokers were not getting COVID. That's interesting to have that connection there, right? That I would find that, or I did find that very interesting that smokers weren't getting COVID. So there's what is it, a French study? They found out this doctor actually after having COVID went deaf in her ear, and all the doctors she went to said that her hearing would never come back after having COVID. It's completely gone. She's noticing that the link between smokers not getting COVID. So they do a study. Took a group of people, anyone who had long haul symptoms for 2 years or longer. So you had to have had COVID at the very beginning, still suffering with symptoms. Now, these symptoms, they were 21 long haul symptoms that included loss of smell and taste, to hearing issues, sight problems, neurological problems, diabetes. Yeah, have you heard of people all of a sudden being diabetic after having COVID? That's also a symptom. 21 symptoms. And they said, okay, we're going to do this study, put a 7 milligram nicotine patch on these people and just see what happens.
Believing Before Seeing, a new bestseller by Candace Barr. Order your copy today.
A lot of the people were like, I don't want to become addictive. They said, it's just 6 days. Try it. We think this might help. So 7 milligrams, which by the way, is the lowest amount of nicotine patches you can get. There's 7 milligrams, 21 milligrams, and I forget the other one. But there's 3 different milligram patches. 7 is the lowest. Doing that for 6 days in this study, every single one of the people's long haul symptoms were gone by the 6th day, completely gone. Like, are you mind blown like me? How is this not all over the world? Why is nobody talking about this? I still know people that are suffering long haul symptoms. My sister is one of them, hasn't had the same taste since she had COVID. I called her up and I'm like, Coco, stick a patch on, stick a nicotine patch on, see if it helps. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I am calling everyone that I know that might be suffering with long haul or COVID long haul symptoms, if that's what they're calling it. So why isn't this spreading around? The French researchers reached out and said, this needs to be everywhere. Get this out right away. We can stop this pandemic. And then what happens? People go on the news. Stop smoking. You are at risk for getting COVID if you smoke. I'm going, but nobody I know is getting it. These researchers are going, we just did a study. Why aren't they getting this information out? Why is there this big conspiracy to hide this information? Why does nicotine reverse the effects of COVID? That's a pretty amazing question. So we had to go down the rabbit hole a little bit. And what I found out is that I already knew that our bodies could heal themselves. And within nature, there are things that help us to speed that up, to help heal ourselves. Within every cell of our body, we have a nicotine receptor. Did you know that? How amazing is that? And why is it called the nicotine receptor, you might ask? Well, because nicotine actually turns it on. It turns it on. And all the cells in your body that make your body function, there is a nicotine receptor. Like, just let that digest for a minute. Let that digest. In every cell of your body, there is a nicotine receptor that turns on that cell and makes it work better. Now, if you have these nicotine receptors neurologically that are making you have brain fog, turning off your taste, your smell, that is what spike protein does. It turns off the nicotine receptors. So those receptors, the cells that tell our body that, ooh, that tastes yummy or that smells yummy, the COVID spike protein is turning those receptors off. That's why you can't feel it. It's paralyzed them. Now, we could go down rabbit hole some more, but I'm not going to go too deep into it. Basically, the COVID is caused by king cobra and crate snake, which have venom, which just so happen to turn off those receptors, which are they're identical to spike protein. And they did come out, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, did come out. It wasn't a bat that caused COVID. It was king cobra and crate snake. That's what the DNA showed the link on. So now that we know that, they're doing all these studies on how to reverse the effect of those venoms. Nicotine binds to those receptors, it turns them on. Spike protein binds to those nicotine receptors, turns them off. It is an antinegestic, what is it called? Antinegestic, when something gets turned off, and turn on. Antigen is when it gets turned on. Antigenestic is when it's turned off. That is what the spike protein does. And so when you introduce nicotine back into your body, it has a 30% chance, higher chance of binding to those nicotine receptors than the spike protein. So the spike protein is clinging on to that receptor. The nicotine comes in, 30% higher chance, binds onto it, lets go of the spike protein, and it dissolves, or your body releases it, however it releases it. All of a sudden, within hours even, the doctor that tried this, she stuck a nicotine patch on. She had she was deaf after that. What did she say? I think it was in like 20 minutes, she felt like a pop, and all of a sudden, she had her hearing again. Wait, the doctors all said you will never get that back. You're deaf now. So how is nicotine all of a sudden causing you to get your hearing back? That doesn't make much sense, does it? So I lost my train of thought. So we have the nicotine receptors that bind, 30% higher chance of binding than the spike protein, makes the spike protein release, dissipate through the body. Now you have your functions back. You can taste again. You can smell again. You can see again. You have your cognitive effect back. You are no longer diabetic. Because if you were induced, since that's like one of the side effects, which is very interesting to me, I think it's because it paralyzes whatever it is that works that makes you diabetic in the first place. I didn't go down that rabbit hole. I could, but I just didn't care to. So anyway, nicotine. Who would have thought? Nicotine is so amazing. Eggplant, that I've always stayed away from because, ew, who really likes eggplants? Is so amazing. It will turn the receptors, your nicotine receptors in your cells on. It's pretty amazing. So what else? Let's see. Did I forget anything? I went over the some ways that you can eat to get nicotine in your body. I'm by no means telling you go smoke a cigarette. Hell no, stay away from that shit. Cigarettes they can have up to 600 ingredients that are carcinogenic. No, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to go smoke. But there are other ways to get your nicotine, including you have nicotine patches, nicotine gum. You can do that. I bought here, let me see. I kind of want to go get what I bought. I bought nicotine gum to travel with. So that way I can just have it in my system, not the 7 milligrams that they did during the study. But if you take 2-3 milligrams a day just to coat your nicotine receptors and make sure that the spike protein or something else can't latch on to those receptors, yeah, sure. It's a good protector to have, I would say. But I'm not saying to go smoke. And by the way, this is like just how crazy this is when I think about it. Indigenous people have been using nicotine for centuries for the medicinal purposes. I remember sitting in a ceremony that I'm doing and them blowing tobacco smoke in my face and thinking, oh no, I don't want tobacco smoke. I don't want to become addictive. No, it's not addictive. There's no way you can become addictive from that. They're using it for the healing properties because they know the nicotine, when you're sitting in those healing circles, blowing the nicotine into your face is going to help open up those receptors that you're trying to utilize, the receptors that you might have closed. Pretty amazing. Medicine women, shamans, they know their shit. They know some stuff. Like if you're suffering, and you might want to talk to one because they might have some natural kind of crazy cure that will help you out. I hope that you learned something. If you don't believe me, great. Maybe it's made you think, I'm going to do some research on that. I'm going to look into that because you know what? Eating some eggplant might not be so bad. It might help me open up those nicotine receptors that have been closed now since COVID. So I hope you have a blessed, wonderful day. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I surely did enjoy making it. And I hope to see you again next week. Check us out on Whole-ly Chit.